Good evening, I'm Michael and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. Only 2 cases involved Malaysians who caught COVID-19 in the country, but imported cases continue to make the country's single-digit target elusive for now. Imported cases continue to contribute the largest chunk of new COVID-19 cases detected in the country. On Tuesday, Health Ministry Director General Dr. Nurasham Abdullah said Malaysia reported 20 new COVID-19 cases, with 15 of those being people who were infected outside the country before returning to Malaysia. Of the 5 local transmissions reported today, 3 involved non-citizens, with the remaining 2 cases involving Malaysians.
Adalah dimaklumkan bahawa tiada kes kematian berkaitan dengan COVID-19 dilaporkan hari ini. Justru jumlah kumulatif kes kematian COVID-19 di Malaysia kekal sebanyak 115 kes, iaitu bersamaan dengan 1.46% daripada jumlah keseluruhan kes.
Meanwhile, 66 people were discharged today after recovering from COVID-19, bringing the total number of recoveries in the country to 6,470 cases. If you were planning your big day in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic may have rained on your parade, but you may finally have some good news. With the arrival of June, the Malaysian government has decided to allow more activities to take place under the Conditional Movement Control Order. Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob revealed today that interstate travel for solemnisation ceremonies, wedding photography and filming activities will be allowed this month with strict guidelines in place.
Jadi mesyuarat faham keperluan tersebut. Jadi mesyuarat pada hari ini bersetuju untuk membenarkan rentas negeri bagi urusan akad nikah dengan syarat yang sama, iaitu perlu mendapatkan kelulusan daripada pihak PDRM. Dan SOP-nya sama seperti yang lain, tidak boleh melebihi 20 orang di dalam majlis tersebut, penjarakan sosial tanpa bersalaman dan sebagainya, seperti SOP yang lain.
While wedding photography is allowed, Ismail stressed that it is only restricted to pre-wedding and solemnisation shootings. Wedding reception is still not allowed, he added. Meanwhile, Ismail said filming activities will be allowed to resume on June 10th, also with strict standard operating procedures.
Aktiviti penggambaran juga mestilah mematuhi setiap SOP yang telah pun diputuskan di dalam mesyuarat tersebut, terutamanya mengenai penjarakan sosial, tidak membolehkan perhimpunan yang ramai dan sebagainya.
The conditional MCO is expected to be lifted on June 9th. The MCO has been in effect since March 18th to curb the outbreak of COVID-19 in the country. It has been given a leeway under the conditional MCO earlier last month, where certain economic activities have been allowed to resume. A viral photo has got many people questioning whether it was Dr. Mahathir Mohamad who wanted Bersatu out of Harapan. Today, he cleared the air on Facebook. A photograph went viral on social media recently showing former Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad sitting in a living room surrounded by leaders from the then opposition parties from UMNO and PAS, as well as former PKR Deputy President Azmin Ali. In a video published on Facebook this afternoon, Dr. Mahathir explained the story behind the photo. He said the meeting was held after the Bersatu Supreme Council meeting to discuss the leadership's decision.
Mesyuarat ini diadakan mengikut program saya, iaitu selepas kita mengadakan mesyuarat Majlis Tertinggi Parti Peribumi, kita akan berjumpa untuk bincang keputusan Parti Peribumi, dan itulah sebabnya yang kita berjumpa. Selepas daripada perjumpaan ini, maka semua akan pergi ke istana untuk menghadap Dunia Yang Maha Mulia Tuanku Yang di-Pertuan Agong.
He revealed that during the meeting there was a suggestion for Bersatu to leave Harapan. However, Mahathir said he advised the leaders to take time to think about the decision thoroughly.
Akhirnya mereka bersetuju memberi masa kepada saya untuk bersetuju dengan cadangan mereka. Bahkan Tan Sri Muhyiddin memberi masa kepada saya selama 1 minggu untuk membuat keputusan. Namun demikian, ternampak bahawa mereka sudah merancang untuk melaksanakan keluaran daripada Pakatan Harapan.
Mahathir said he never agreed to Bersatu leaving Pakatan Harapan, but Muhyiddin had on several occasions personally coaxed him to agree for the party to exit the coalition.
Berkali-kali Tan Sri Muhyiddin datang jumpa saya seorang dan meminta supaya saya bersetuju dengan Parti Bersatu ini keluar daripada Pakatan Harapan. Saya tidaklah tolak dia sama sekali. Cuma saya kata saya akan fikir berkenaan dengan perkara ini. Tetapi saya tidak bersetuju untuk keluar.
He explained that he was part of Harapan, which won the fight to topple former Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak. Therefore, it would be weird for Bersatu, which had helped to topple Najib, to be suggested to work with him. Mahathir's explanation came after the photo made its rounds on social media, where Perikatan Nasional supporters have claimed that it proves Mahathir was in support of pulling Bersatu out of Harapan. Yesterday, we saw DAP Amanah and Bersatu Youth Wings lodge a report against the Prime Minister. Today, another Bersatu Youth faction lodged a report against Guaneng and Tommy Thomas. Several Bersatu youth leaders filed a report at the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission today against former Finance Minister Lim Guaneng and former Attorney General Tommy Thomas. This was over a report yesterday that Guaneng had allegedly ordered the Attorney General's chambers to unfreeze a property tycoon's bank account.
Semalam kita digegarkan dengan satu penyengkaran bahawa ketika Yang Berhormat Lim Guaneng berada selaku Yang Berhormat Menteri Keuangan selama 22 bulan telah mengarahkan kepada AGC, AG Chambers ataupun Tommy Thomas selaku Peguam Negara untuk membatalkan pembekuan akaun milik bos hartanah yang berkaitan dengan 1MDB. Jadi hari ini kita nak pergi ke SPRM, kita nak buat report, kita nak minta penjelasan, kita nak minta diorang lakukan siasatan untuk memastikan sama ada dakwaan ini benar ataupun tidak. Penyalahgunaan kuasa ni yang seperti digembar-gemborkan ini tak sepatutnya berlaku.
Zahin added that they would not have lodged a report if they did not have evidence, as they did not want to burden authorities with hearsay. Yesterday, a report claimed that Lim had asked the Attorney General's chambers to unfreeze the bank accounts of a prominent tycoon. The report quoted an anonymous source who claimed this constitutes a conflict of interest. In a reply to Malaysia Kini, Lim insisted that during his time in the federal government, he always transferred issues that were outside his scope of responsibility to the relevant authorities. The MACC has responded to the report by saying they are probing the leak of information. Those planning to start selling hard liquor legally may have hit a brick wall because DBKL won't be handing out new licenses. Planning to start a new nightclub in Kuala Lumpur anytime soon? Not only will you not be able to open it due to the conditional movement control order, but even if you could, you would not be able to serve liquor. The Kuala Lumpur City Hall has announced that it has frozen all new applications for liquor licenses with immediate effect. In a statement today, the City Hall's licensing department said punitive action will be taken against premises that sell liquor without a license. Previously, Minister of Housing and Local Government Zuraida Kamarudin said her ministry was ready to consider the proposal for local authorities to suspend new liquor licenses following recent fatal road accidents involving drunk drivers. Zuraida also said that the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of International Trade and Industry were investigating several issues related to alcohol sales that need to be addressed via law enforcement action and sanctions that need to be reviewed. More recently, there have been several high-profile cases of road accidents involving drunk drivers that have led to fatalities. Coming up next, as the protests get violent in the US, President Trump is ready to deploy armed soldiers. US President Donald Trump has called on mayors and governors in their respective states to put their foot down to stop violent protests. If they fail to do so, Trump said he'll do it himself. US President Donald Trump said on Monday he was deploying thousands of heavily armed soldiers and law enforcement officers to stop violence in the US Capitol and vowed to do the same in other cities if mayors and governors fail to regain control of the streets.
These are not acts of peaceful protest. These are acts of domestic terror. That is why I am taking immediate presidential action to stop the violence and restore security and safety in America. I am mobilizing all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting, to end the destruction and arson, and to protect the rights of law-abiding Americans, including your Second Amendment rights.
Trump stressed if local leaders can't act, he will act for them.
mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled. If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
This comes after police fired tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse demonstrators near the White House. Law enforcement, including officers on horsebacks, moved on protesters across the street from the White House as Trump made his remarks from the Rose Garden. Anti-police brutality marches and rallies, which have turned violent after dark each night over the last week, erupted after the death of George Floyd, a 46-year-old African-American who died in Minneapolis police custody after being pinned beneath a white officer's knee for nearly 9 minutes. While Trump expressed condolences to Floyd's family, he said law and order must be maintained.
All Americans were rightly sickened and revolted by the brutal death of George Floyd. My administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain. But we cannot allow the righteous cries and peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob. I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters.
With the widespread protests across the country and US already being the worst hit country by COVID-19, experts fear that these mass gatherings could only make things worse. Public health experts and government officials, including New York's governor, are warning that large street protests over racial inequities and excessive police force could worsen the spread of the novel coronavirus. Dr. William Schaffner, an infectious disease expert at the Vanderbilt University Medical Center, said that the close proximity of participants running and yelling or chanting may increase transmission because people emit more respiratory droplets under these conditions.
Well, certainly COVID could be part of these demonstrations. And these are large numbers of people getting together closely for prolonged periods of time and often cheering and shouting, so they're exhaling with vigor. So we know that people without symptoms can spread this virus. A lot of the demonstrators are people of color. That's the issue that they're demonstrating about, their concerns. And that's already a population disproportionately affected by COVID.
The protests over the death of an unarmed black man, George Floyd, in police custody in Minneapolis last Monday have spread to cities including New York, Los Angeles and Baltimore. They are bringing together hundreds, sometimes thousands of people, just as the country is reopening after a lengthy lockdown to stop the spread of COVID-19, the disease caused by the coronavirus.
I think in this protest, I appreciate that we all have masks on and we're trying to stay distant. And I appreciate how the organizers have really tried to emphasize safety.
I don't see us getting out of quarantine no time soon. I don't see Corona going away no time soon, especially with all these protests and riots and all this going on, and that's not social distancing at all, so I don't see it ending no time soon.
If there are infections, alerting people who have been near someone with the virus could be difficult, especially if people do not want to be known as they attended a protest, and he and other experts said. More public health officials may start to make statements to the effect of, quote, if you were at one of these protests, you should consider yourself exposed, said Dr. Amish Adalja, an infectious disease expert at the Johns Hopkins University Center of Health Security. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll be back with more tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Professor Michael. Thank you for watching.